Hey guys, morning brief here real quick. So I'm starting with the VX futures here. So we are potentially in a channel high here on the VX futures. So be mindful of that. Basically, even if you're in the all-time high, new all-time high camp and the S&Ps and Qs and stuff, that what they needed to do, they needed to build a nice put float in the markets to push us higher. And that's pretty much what they've done. So be very mindful of that. Even if you're in the bull camp, by pushing the VIX up here, it actually supports that idea of breaking out to new all-time highs. So just be very mindful of that. That scenario is still very much alive. A quick rundown here, guys. This is our primary channel, uptrend channel. If you zoom in here real quick, now, if you see here, that right there, we've been in a blow off top situation on SPY. We're finally coming back down inside the channel. Okay. If you go over here on a 4 hour, zoom in. Right here in this situation, on a corrective situation, we should be coming back down into this area down here. Uh, Technically to this channel low, potentially here for SPY for a proper retest of support before going back higher. So that suggests the downside is probably not over. That puts us down around the potentially all the way down to the 563 area. Okay, so be very mindful of that. If you do follow Witkoff, I mean, this down here would actually be support as well. So be very mindful of that. It doesn't. There's a good chance that the downside is not done yet. Well, I think I'm looking at here. So we had this gap below us here. We did come down and tag the target area for a reset on the Qs yesterday, but this is the gap area from OPEX, the OPEX announcement that next day. We have not filled that gap yet, so that would be my primary thesis. So, markets are trying to come down, fill that gap from OPEX, so be very mindful that that would put us into the bottom of the current channel that I have using Anchored VWAP. This is our Anchored VWAP channel from September. Okay, that kind of all lines up to fill that gap to the downside, in my opinion. That'd give us a 472 area. It's maybe a support area here for the Qs. Our IWM actually came down to the September Anchored VWAP support yesterday, so be very mindful of that. That's the first one that's actually threatening to uh, threaten the September trend. So, so 1 month that already possibly threatening the uptrend here in the IWM. So be mindful of that, what we did yesterday. So we still got the F1C gap below us as well. The diamonds are still acting quite bullish here, so be mindful of that. A little bit of damage yesterday, but not a lot. So we are opening below this week's anchored wall, so not the best open here to kick off the session here. This is a bearish open early this morning, potentially here for the diamonds. We might be seeing rotation out of the diamonds starting today. So, we walked down yesterday and tech yesterday. We might be seeing the rest of the market catch up to the downside today with what I'm seeing on the opening ticks here on the diamonds. Okay, one thing that I've learned about trading, when something should happen but doesn't, then I get really concerned and I pay attention. So this morning, semiconductors came back down, satisfied the downside target. So this morning we should have actually had a pretty strong open here on semiconductors as the target area potentially have been reached. Instead, what we have is semiconductors down this morning. So, if something should happen that doesn't, I pay attention to that. So, semi should be having a nice little short squeeze early this morning. Instead, it looks like we're going to be opening red. So far, Apple is still getting defended here. Yesterday in the big sell down in the markets, we came right down to the buy zone on Apple and immediately got bought back up. So this is not a really poor, this is a pretty good pattern. You're still, coming down to the buy zone and getting supported. So this is actually acting more bullish for the market. So just be mindful of that, the way they're defending Apple still. So Microsoft's one the worst megatech out there. We have lost the September anchored VWAP. Next target would be the beginning of September's anchored VWAP. So be very mindful of that. That puts us down into the 412 area potentially here for Microsoft. This is definitely not one that I would be wanting to buy the dip on personally. So we are in a negative gamma situation as well. So be mindful of that. Similarly, AMD's in a negative gamma situation. We have actually went a little bit past the target area, currently trading below our target area this morning. Last week we had a massive call wall at the 160 area. We're currently trading below that in a negative gamma situation. So this is really, really looking like a blow off top here on AMD. Okay, guys, so we're right at that buy zone early on this morning. This was our targeted buy zone potential for NVIDIA this morning. Came down to it yesterday, bounced off of it a little bit. Now we're right back down to it again. This is warning us, getting a little bit of warning here that even the buy zone's not going to be supported on NVIDIA. And actually, this is where the bears start waking up. When we start losing these buy zones, if the buy zones are starting to fail, then that's whenever things could really start getting exciting here. So be very mindful of that. And you saw on the VIX could be on the verge of a big breakout this morning. So NVIDIA is one of those stocks you really got to watch here. It's do or die on NVIDIA. That's going to be one of the main drivers for the markets, possibly to the downside. Tesla's reporting here in the delivery orders here in a few hours. We know for a fact that they were bad in Europe. We know that they're bad in China. And we know from hearing that General Motors, Ford, and Toyota sales are struggling here in North America. So, there's a really good chance that Tesla is going to be buy the rumor, sell the news today. So we have to be very mindful of that. We're right into the 260 call wall. So this thing could get ugly real quick down the 250 area in a heartbeat. So be very mindful what's about to happen in today's session. This could be one of those driving forces to the downside. One thing I do keep on my charts are the prior call walls. We're still about the 165 on Google. So basically 165 is new support since we broke out above that. So be very mindful of that going into today's trade. As long as we hold 165, then Google's still a bullish pattern. Okay, Meta, similar situation on Meta. We got a massive call wall at the 575. This morning we're still at 577. It's actually a little bit higher than yesterday's close, honestly. This is still a very bullish pattern here on Meta. I did notice something though on the counts. If you go on the 1 hour counts, I don't know if I got that up. No, I don't have the counts on there. I don't have the sequence counts on there, but this is a 9 count up here on the 1 hour. We're currently trading below that, so as long as we hold below the 578.25, you can scalp short. If you're thinking that we're going to break, but this 575 is a major area, so ideally I'd like to wait for it to break 575, but there's two ways of looking at it. All I know is the 578.25 is a major divining rod in the market in the Meta. So Amazon, we're in the buy zone here. So this could be putting in a higher low as we speak. potential buy zone here for Amazon. Remember, Amazon's going to be impacted far greater on the whole port strike than a lot of other areas because they have just-in-time inventory. So they definitely rely on those timely port deliveries. This can definitely snowball for them, so be very mindful of that. Okay. XLF's looking pretty ugly here. We're in a downtrend from um, September and XLF, and we are below the buy zone, potential buy zone, suggesting this pattern is breaking down. So be very mindful of that. XLI, um, the 2-hour 9 count, we're currently trading below that this morning. We might start. That could be an early indication of some rotation out of the industrials early on this morning. XLV, still a pretty good pattern here. Below 97, you can actually look for a reversion back down to the buy zone. Our buy zone is down in this area. XLV is one of the worst areas that's been acting. We're below our potential buy zone here on XLV, fading lower. Heads up on that. XLU is the strongest. That in itself should be a warning that the markets are flocking to safety. Okay. So be very mindful of this. It could be a big warning here, the XLU being so strong here in the markets. Consumer discretionary. We're right into this call wall area. This hasn't broke down yet, but that Amazon could have a big deal on that. So definitely keep Amazon on watch for this. The buy zone is much lower in the 195 area, 194 area. So let's definitely keep this on watch. XLP, one of the bearish charts. So keep this on watch. XLP is one on the bearish side. It's been acting bearish the past week and a half, 2 weeks. XLE is breaking out this morning. So this is our September trend. We're breaking out. This here was our targeted resistance area. We're already breaking out above that this morning here on XLE. This is the strongest chart we got going on right now. XLE is on fire. Heads up on that. We're breaking above resistance already this morning. It's cutting through it. It cut through it like a knife. Okay. XLK. So we're right here at the bottom of the buy zone, or right here into the buy zone area on our XLK. Okay. And Netflix has not broken 700 yet. Palantir is acting a little bit weak here too. Potentially, this is our buy zone here on Palantir. We're right next to that buy zone here on Palantir. This was our September trend. So we've been trending sideways into that September trend. Ideally, this, in theory, is a bull flag until proven otherwise. So let's definitely keep that one on watch. It's a potential bull flag. If we break these levels, then basically, if we start losing the 35.50, let's say, if we start losing 35.50, then the trend could be changing. But until then, this is still a bull flag, in my opinion. Okay. Please like my video if you get a chance. Retweet me on Twitter, X, and leave some comments below if you like my stuff. So basically, we definitely got to keep our VX futures on here. In my opinion, this is a resistance area. You should be selling call premium on VX futures early this morning. Knowing your stops. So just be very mindful of that. It's probably going to take another big, ideally that's what I would be thinking on VX futures. The odds favor selling premium, call premium versus trying to push the upside. So be very mindful of that in today's session.